Hey, this is Dr. Stephen Lowe with AdamRevival. I want to thank you for coming here and watching part two of the Eric Molitor interview. This is a very important subject matter, okay? And it's very important that this gets out there and that this story gets shared. The YouTube algorithm does not like it, so I'm asking you as a favor to AdamRevival, Eric Molitor, and just freedom in general. Please like, share, and subscribe to AdamRevival and share this video as far as you can on all platforms. In part one of our interview with Eric Molitor, he went into uh, the initial plan and setup of the FBI involved in the Gretchen Whitmer kidnapping plot. He got pretty in depth as to how that all occurred. Now, in part two, Eric goes very deep and dissects what exactly happened as a result of this plot, how the FBI manufactured this plot, and the parts that the confidential human sources played in this plot. He also goes into how this affected his family, his marriage, his children, his faith, and how it has affected all the other defendants of this case. And once you watch these videos, once you watch the interview, both part one and part two of the Gretchen Whitmer kidnapping plot, you're going to start to be able to apply that to other occurrences that we've seen nationally, such as January 6th, the assassination on President Trump. And you can take this all the way back to the Kennedy assassination, and you can see how the federal government has manipulated scenarios with confidential human sources, with their intelligence, how they have weaponized these things to advance political narratives, political agendas, and all that stuff. So this is a very important interview. It's one of a kind. So I'm asking you, as an American, Christian, non-believer, doesn't matter. If you support freedom and you support liberty and you support the United States of America, it's as simple as sharing this video to every platform, X, Rumble, TikTok, it doesn't matter. Break it up, tear it apart, get it out there for the masses to hear so that the federal government cannot impede on American liberty and individual rights any longer. Once more, thank you for coming here. I hope you enjoy this interview. Get it out there.
Adam, he was asking me, are you in? And I'm saying anything that I can. I'm like, well, I don't even know what's going on. You guys aren't even telling me anything. That should also let you know that I had no information going up. One of the things the government said was, of course he knew. He had intent, because if you know the plans and you still do it, you obviously have intent to do these things, right? So without the information, how could I have that sort of intent? I simply could not have. So
Right.
what did the government do? They took the end of the ride, right? And they put it at the beginning, so it looked like I was being filled in slightly before we left my house. So that way they could say, and it's all captured. We all know it, because even in the court, when they tried bringing it up, my lawyer jumped up. He's like, Judgy Wudgy, you might want to stop these fellas, because they are, that's from the end of the ride and they're saying it's here. And he looked at the prosecution and they said, we've been sitting on this for 3 years. We know what we're doing. So we sat back down with a smile on our face, like, all right, guys, you do what you got to do. But yeah, so that's how they got me roped into it, anyways, because they have to sign an affidavit of on facts, right? They're supposed to write facts down. So their facts were that I was a Wolverine Watchman. I didn't even know who the hell those guys were, and that I had intent because I had knowledge, and that's not the case. So that's how I actually got bound into the court system on this, and that's the exact evidence they used to bind me over, right? So anyways, we finally get back to my house, and I go in, and I think we may have smoked a little bit before they left as well. And Dan used the bathroom again. Anytime strangers want to use your bathroom, tell them to pee outside. They're fed and they're wanting to scope your house out, the layout of the house. That's exactly what he did. So, yeah. So, anyways, they ended up leaving, and I stayed in contact a little bit. I had a couple of reasons. One of them was selfish. Okay. in private security. It's very competitive. All these other guys look like, a Thor and, all these Marvel characters from these new movies and whatnot. And here I am looking
Yeah,
doughy as heck. I'm like, man, if I can get some steroids, and kind of up my game, like I can go further. In fact, my bosses were actually talking to
yeah.
me about moving up, like going overseas to do crazy stuff because they were impressed with the work that I was doing here in the riots and
Okay.
whatnot. Like I went to Louisville and actually had weapons pulled on me, protecting one of my principals from being pickpocketed.
Okay.
So, yeah. Um,
Okay.
so, anyways, I wanted steroids. So that was one reason. The main reason, however, was because if I kept hearing about a group or any plans, then I'd actually have something to go to the police with. Imagine if I would have went to the cops with only the daytime riot information. I'm like, guys, you ain't gonna believe what just happened to me. Like, you probably listen, and then when I left, you start laughing with your buddies, like, dude, check this out. He's insane because it doesn't even. It sounds so surreal, man. This stuff isn't real. It doesn't happen in real life, dude. But it did. I mean, I know it did. So
Yeah. Yeah. So
yeah.
let me ask you this, Eric. So what was the alleged plan that they were was the plan to go actually kidnap the governor, blow up the like what was the actual plan?
What a great question. There was no plan. They were trying to figure it out on the ride. They didn't have a plan. Dude, this is what I'm
Oh my
saying.
gosh.
Everything led me to the
Okay.
point where I could
Okay.
comfortably sit back and say they're not a threat to anybody but themselves. They're going to get themselves wrapped up in something. And I also thought, now how did
Yeah.
the FBI get
Yeah.
all of my, all of my pictures and this and that? It's because I don't delete stuff, especially if I feel so. Because of situations with my ex-wife at the time, we're doing so much better now. But at the time, I kept text messages just in case I needed to use them. So I was, well aware of how to do that and why I would need to do that. So I kept these messages because I figured if police, FBI was involved, that I'd be able to show them and they'd be like, "Yeah, you weren't involved, but you're definitely stupid." And I can live with being stupid, man. That's
Yeah.
not that's not a problem. Um, yeah, man.
So Eric, what can take me to the the day the arrest happened. So like when did this kind of start to escalate to the point of when you realize, oh my gosh, this is I could be in some
Well,
serious trouble here. What's going
and,
on?
and how long were you in
well, hold
actual
on. Before I even
jail
get to
for?
that, guys, I'm not even done with everything else yet, man. There's so much that goes into this. So
Okay.
the FTX that happened 2 weeks after the
Okay.
daytime ride, right? So of course I go to the FTX. I already said I was going to go. I already said I was going to be taking the RF detector, which I would have done anyways. It's a national militia get together. It was touted as family. Hey, kitty. It's family friendly. And and there were kids there and all sorts of stuff. It was not a terrorist training camp because you brought that up, so I'm specifically going to talk on this. Nobody openly
Yes.
talked
Yes.
about this,
Okay.
the plans or whatever, and there was like 40 plus people there. So if this was a serious thing about kidnapping Governor Whitmer, trust me, it would have been talked about in the open. Supposedly a couple of groups had sidebars or whatever, or, side chats or whatever, and so they I guess talked about it, whatever the heck that means. I wasn't a part of it. Well, because if I brought it, oh, I didn't bring that
Okay.
one. Anyways, 3 days after the daytime ride, well before the FTX, Adam Fox texted Dan Chappell and said, "We can't count on Molitor for any extreme shit." He could tell by my non-committalness that I was not going to be a part of it. Excuse me. So,
Right.
anyways, I go to the FTX. It's free training, first of all, right? It's connecting. It's being able to show off my toys.
Yep.
It's staying in contact with these guys in case I hear more. So, you know,
Yeah.
for every
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's an American thing to do.
well,
It's an
and people don't
American thing to
understand this
do.
mindset though. But when you were a type of protector, so we're not wolves. Protectors are not wolves. We're sheepdogs, man. Like we stay where the danger is at, so we can protect
Yep.
the flock, right? So we have a different mindset
Correct.
than the
Correct. Yep.
typical, even the typical average male. So that's all I was doing. And like I said, I would have went to the police on my own. Regardless of all that, they tried to say that me taking the RF device was also material support, which is just, again ridiculous. Yeah.
So
So
stupid.
after that,
So stupid.
Dan Chappell gets a hold of me a month after the ride on October. Let's see, we were rated on the 7th, so I'm going to say the 3rd. Yeah, I think on the 3rd, October 3rd, he gets a hold of me 1 month after the daytime ride, and he's like, "Hey, man, what did you think of that ride?" There was more conversation, but this is the important stuff. He said, "What did you think of that ride?" A 1 month. Here, poopy. So 1 month. I think she might need that. She was scratching the
That's
door.
okay. That's okay.
You gotta go out, baby. But so after a month, why is he asking me how I felt about it? That should let you know that I was not in communication. I don't know anything behind the scenes. Otherwise, we would have moved well past what did you think of the daytime ride? Anybody with common sense would be able to look at any of this producible evidence and be like, yeah, again, not guilty, but definitely stupid. Um, so that's the FTX that
Yep.
they brought up that was for the
Yep.
training because yeah, there was a shoot house there. Oh, my bad, kill house. That's a lot scarier. Let's just go with their term.
Oh yeah. A kill house, a
Ooh,
slaughterhouse. Yeah,
slaughterhouse.
come on, man.
Yeah.
Come on.
So that's what that was all
Yeah.
about. Um,
Okay.
so then Dan gets a hold of me a
Okay.
month later, says all that stuff. We banter back and forth, and I'm thinking, dude, if he's getting a hold of me, then they're desperate. They need me. I'm like, I'm gonna start fishing. So yeah, man, I said stuff that I typically wouldn't say because I think I'm playing this guy the whole time he's playing me, and I had no inkling
Yeah.
whatsoever. But I did get some information out of him based on the things that I queued up for him, and it wasn't. It still wasn't enough. And anyways, a few days after is when the FBI raid happened. We had a family get together going on and 40 agents. So there was quite a few of us, me, my mom, my two kids who were 5 and 7 at the time, my sister and my nephew, he was 7 at the time, my cousin and her two kids, so my other two cousins, one of which was also around the same age, so 6 or 7. And let's see, my mom, all them. So the FBI comes and the state police, about 40 different people with an armored personnel carrier, an APC. They had drones flying around. They're all
Oh
in their
my gosh.
camos with nods on and night vision.
Was there
No, not during
media
this.
present?
No, they actually
Okay.
blocked off the whole
Okay.
road. Well, you don't know my area, so it doesn't matter if I tell you the roads. But they blocked off quite a big area. It was
Yeah.
quite an operation, but it's all for optics. Again, this is all for optics. And look at the taxpayer.
Right. That's why I was
Yeah.
asking about media. Like they did this to Roger
Oh,
Stone and every
yep,
politically biased arrest. They bring the
yep.
entire army with them. It's
But what they
ridiculous.
did
But
do
go
was
ahead.
they
I'm sorry.
paraded everybody in the front yard. And they did it on purpose. So if you ever watch, I think it's called Police State by Dinesh D'Souza, as a couple of FBI whistle. Okay, good. So you know who
Seen it.
Kyle Seraphin and Stephen Friend are?
Yep.
The FBI whistleblowers. Good,
Yep.
good, good. Um, but they will tell you
Yep.
that they do that on purpose. It's called a walk of shame. It is to put you on display. It is all optics. They put my freaking mom in
Yeah.
handcuffs.
It's a
Yeah, they
humiliation
put my
ritual.
mom in handcuffs. They pointed guns at
Yep.
all of the kids.
Yep.
And my kids, the way that I raised them, they're well aware of
Dude.
guns, just the way
Dude.
like how
Dude.
I was raised around guns. I want them to be educated so they know they're not
Yep.
toys. What guns do is they destroy. Man, I don't care if
Yep.
you're target shooting, hunting, or you have to defend yourself. Guns are meant to destroy, and let's not play it.
My my daughter is 7 and my son is 16 or I'm sorry, my daughter's 10 now, my son is 16, but when they turned 7 years old it was 22 long rifle time, going over the basics. And today every time I go out in the field they're with me training
Good.
all that stuff. Yep, that's very important. As Americans, we train our children, especially our young men, the dangers of guns, but how to operate these weapon systems efficiently. If they need to hunt, which we do hunt, or should they need to go so far as
Yeah.
to defend freedom.
Yes.
End of story.
So for every reason. So my kids were well aware what it means when you get a gun
Yep.
pointed at you. And my daughter, even just not too long ago, she brought it up and she's like, I remember when, and she talked about how it wasn't right. She knew that her life was in danger at 5 years old. These cowards, dude, I'll tell you.
Jesus, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's good Lord.
So as I'm
So they came in for the
Yep.
public humiliation ritual. They did that. They scared your family. They made you look out to be, a German dictator, and then gave you the walk of shame. And so where do we go from there?
Well, here's some stuff that people got to know. They no longer have to produce a warrant first before they take you, which is you would think is a part of due process. Not anymore. They said that they'll produce it afterwards, and they would not tell me what was going on as they had me handcuffed in my yard, looking around. So I'm sitting there like there's a couple of things I had going on that not like for a free person should not be illegal, but of course they legalize everything and homemade alcohol across state
Yep.
lines is a crime, and a couple other things could be construed as crime. So I'm standing there like, crap, what did it, what am I doing here? What are they doing here? And of course, that
Yeah.
one's in my mind too.
Yep.
Well, come to find, so yeah, they took me down to the police station, interrogated me. I didn't ask for a lawyer, and then I knew, I know that you should, but I'm sitting there thinking I've kept everything. I know I can prove my innocence. And so I was like, and I even told him that, like, I know I'm
Yeah.
supposed to ask for a lawyer, but I don't care right now. So I gave him I talked, man. I said everything that I knew. I
Yeah.
was in jail for 3
Yeah.
months over this. I lost custody
Okay.
of my 2 kids back to my
Okay.
ex-wife.
I'm
Yep.
so sorry to hear that, man. I'm so sorry to hear that, man. Like, that breaks my
Oh, it
heart.
sucks. But okay, so here's the thing though, man, is like, yes, it's super.
Do you feel like going back, would you have approached that situation differently when it came to first going into to lawyer up and not talk to him at all? Do you feel like you made a
I still
mistake at
don't
that
feel like I
point?
made a mistake, because I had the truth on my side. So it doesn't, I can stand on the
Okay.
truth and facts. However, knowing,
And you knew you were
oh,
innocent, right? You
100%.
knew you were
I
innocent.
didn't
Yeah.
have bad
Yeah.
intent, man. So if I had the knowledge then that I have now, yeah, I would have made their job a lot harder. I would have purposefully been a prick to these people every step of the
Yeah.
way. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Man, they would not have
Yeah.
liked me.
Yeah. And then so
I
you spent 3 months in jail. And then you lawyered up, obviously. I read a little bit, about the trial itself. It went on for, what was
Oh,
it,
heck no, it was
14
4
days, I
weeks,
think,
dude. It was a
or
month.
is that right?
Yeah.
4 weeks. 4 weeks. Okay. So it went on for 4 weeks. And the jury found you not guilty, and then the two other, were they twin brothers
Yeah,
or brothers,
Michael
the
and William.
Knowles? Okay, they found them not guilty also. Tell us about, what is that feeling? I seen some pictures. And well, there's my Mufasa jumping over my head over here. Sorry about that, boys. The sense of relief that you had when that jury announced not guilty, dude. Like, I seen the tears, I seen the emotion, and it
Well,
was
it was
very touching.
unbelievable. So the relief is short lived, because even though, like, you're allowed to walk out, the fact that it happened at all, knowing that you were innocent the whole time, knowing you're
Yeah.
looking at 22 years, and everything rests upon a jury of your peers recognizing the truth coming from you, as opposed to the twistedness that the prosecution put out. And they are polished, okay? When they go through law school and whatnot, they actually have mock trials. They practice their craft. It is all a show. There is no reality. It's a reality show, but there's no reality in it. You know what I mean? It is completely
I
manufactured. Go ahead.
I Yep, I work in the law. I have a law degree. I know exactly what you mean. Okay, I know exactly what you mean, and I agree with you. I agree with you wholeheartedly. In fact, well, we'll get into that later. But I'm leaving the law for education right now, and then this is the reason. Right? It's morally conflicting. Right? I'm a Christian, and I love God, and anyway. Um, so where are we at now? Like, so obvious. Okay, the CHS, Dan, right?
Yeah.
What happened with him?
I don't know what you mean. What happened with him?
Obviously,
Yeah.
he was working with the feds, right? And became known
Oh
he
yeah.
was working with the feds. And so he just helped orchestrate this, and then just was gone.
I mean,
Yeah.
they obviously don't keep us updated on their informants, so I have no idea what all happened with him. Um, I know
Okay.
he's another liar though,
Okay.
So here's this guy Dan Chappell who wants to open his own gun range, right? Well, around this area, there's a lot of training.
Mm-hmm.
There's enough training facilities that you need to be able to stand out from the rest of them. How do you do that when everybody has previous military experience? Everybody's a door kicker, blah blah blah, right? Well,
Sure.
man, if you take down, the
Yeah.
worst terrorist in American history, I'll tell you what, I'm going to that guy.
Yeah.
So he was going for clout.
Yep.
All these people that were involved, even the agents, all had
Yeah.
side hustles and histories with perjury. That's all provable, by the way, and they were allowed to testify on stand as expert witnesses, and they weren't taken down because of their side hustles. It's insane, man. Again, all this stuff is provable. In fact, here's one of the things from Agent Impala. He was one of the special agents in charge, and I hope you can see this.
Back, my office input during just December 10th. Back it up just a little bit,
There you go.
if you would, Eric.
We have a saying in
Okay.
my office. That's that part.
Okay. We have a saying. Okay, so we have a saying in my office. Don't let the facts get. Okay, I can. Okay, back it up a little bit. I can see, or just read it. I can see where it says we have a saying in my office. Don't let the facts.
Yep,
And
it
that's where I
says
cut
don't
out.
let the facts get in the way of a good story. So talk about systemic. Everybody talks about systemic this and systemic that.
Yeah.
In his office, they have this saying. This is what
Yep.
they're telling Steve Robeson, who's now known
Yep.
as the double agent. He's a confidential human source from Wisconsin who's a known jailhouse snitch. He's been paid multiple times by the government. He's a multiple felon, a child. He's a pedophile, and all sorts of stuff. So he gets
Yep.
involved in this. So he was supposed to be working for the FBI, ended up actually trying to help these people out. And I'll send you a picture of them burning him. So they had to burn him because he was actually getting people deeply involved. He was truly entrapping them. During this interrogation where Impala told him this, they actually said to him, don't you know that if anybody looks in from the outside, they're going to say this is entrapment? So we actually have this on recording. They know that he had entrapped people.
Wow.
They paid for stuff. They drove everybody. Steve Robeson was buying drugs and alcohol to supply to these guys, which was against his admonishments. Outside of that, and when I send you this paper, dude, because the things I'm going to say sound crazy, like they're not believable, but as an attorney, right? You're going to be able to see this stuff and be like, no, that's official paperwork. Where they
Please send me that
Oh, yeah.
paperwork so I can review it and look at it. And we're coming up on an hour here. I know we all kind of got to go our ways, but I know there's so much more to say, Eric. I know there's so much more that needs to be said. If I am absolutely and entirely open to a part 2 of this down the road. If there's other things you want to bring forward, I want to get this all out there. The American people need to understand the police state that we are living in and how that operates and how twisted and manipulative it is at its core, because that is where we are. And you are running for sheriff right now, right? I want to talk about that a little bit before we go here. We need men like you. We need good American, godly men in offices that protect the American people. So, we had a little discussion before this in which you said, something about the primary. You had to switch up a ticket or the party affiliation. Go ahead and give us your summary as to why you should be the sheriff of Wexford County.
So the reason I should be sheriff of Wexford County is because the incumbent, Trent Taylor, even though he's a Republican, took an oath and all that bull crap, he straight up said he will enforce the extreme risk protection orders, also known as red flag laws, that usurp any due process whatsoever. Knowing, and he said this in a recording, my brother and I went down to talk to him. I was actually going to run for township supervisor until we talked to the sheriff. I was like, no, I got to do this, because he said he'll enforce them. If it comes from a judge, he has to, which is wrong. And he also, in the newspapers, said he'll do it against his people, but also knowing full well that it's harmful to law enforcement. So he's willing to hurt his own deputies to enforce unconstitutional things. I was like, dude, that can't stand. So I'm going to run against him. So I lost in the primaries to him. So I have to now file an affidavit of intent, and then I have to run under anything besides Republican. Well, Republican is the closest thing to my value system. So I'm going to run as a Christian conservative. That's going to be my party affiliation, I guess.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Christian conservative. I'm a Republican also. As far, what other option do you have right now?
I'm a Florida Republican, so that means we're much more hardcore than you guys.
I don't know, man. Where's your militia?
Well,
that's a joke. It's a joke.
The whole state's a militia. What are you talking about? DeSantis conscripted his own personal army.
Right? Like, you guys can't carry open. Is that correct?
That's true.
So we can if we're hunting or fishing.
Right. Which is a really sissy way. It's a really sissy way to practice the constitutional rights that God has ordained you with.
Yeah, but we can, we have constitutional carry, so I don't need a carry permit at all. I just put it in my
I
pants
love it.
and walk around.
So let's Eric, anyone who's watching this video, I hope that you have taken to heart the things that Eric went through. And I hope that you would, if you are in his area, I hope that you would support him as sheriff of Wexford County, to get a good man who has been through the trenches, who has seen the corruption personally, who has felt the effects of that corruption personally, get him in office and get him to right the ship and to represent the people of Wexford County, Michigan, and America as a whole. Before we say goodbye this time, Eric, you're voting for Kamala Harris, right?
I wasn't until she picked it. I wasn't until she picked an old white man. I'm like, we're gonna stick with the patriarchy? Are you kidding me? 100%